Today we're talking about sodium, and we're going to answer yesterday's question. Hi, I'm Hannah, and that's all coming up on One-to-One HealthKick. Yesterday's question was, are heavily processed oils like canola oil healthy because of their high omega-3 content? Highly processed oils go through a process of refining, bleaching, and degumming, which happens at extremely high temperatures. Once the oil is processed, most of the omega-3 content in a canola oil becomes hydrogenated. In fact, the University of Gainesville found that commercial canola oil has more trans fat than margarine. It is important to note that healthy fats can become unhealthy with high heat over a long period of time, which is what happens with frying. The take-home message is the less processed and more natural a product is, the safer it will be for you and for your health. Let's get started with today's topic. We're taking a look at the next component on the nutrition label, sodium. Limiting sodium can be one of the easiest and most important changes you can make in your diet. This isn't because sodium is the worst thing you can put into your body, but because sodium is present in unhealthy foods in very high amounts. So just by limiting foods filled with sodium, you will be on your way to making healthier food choices. Sodium is an essential nutrient, but most Americans get way more than is needed. Let's learn a little bit more about what sodium is and why we want to limit it in our diet. First, let's examine the difference between sodium and salt. If you're like most people, you use the two terms interchangeably. However, while salt always contains sodium, not all sodium is salt. One of the most frequently asked questions I get regarding salt is, does sea salt have less sodium than regular or table salt? The answer is no. All salt has two components, sodium and chloride. The two together make salt and give the salty flavor most people have come to love. In processed foods, there's a high amount of sodium, not used as salt, but used as a way to make foods last longer by limiting bacteria growth. So what is the sea salt difference? Sea salt crystals are larger than table salt crystals, so the theory is less salt will be used. You can actually see how much salt you're putting on your food, and the larger granules will hit your taste buds, causing your food to taste saltier with less sodium. When you compare the nutrition label, both table salt and sea salt are 40% sodium by weight, which equals about 2,300 milligrams of sodium in a teaspoon. What we need to focus on is not limiting salt added at the table, but sodium in prepackaged convenience foods. With sodium, products become shelf-stable and no longer undergo the effects of bacteria growth, which creates stinky, moldy food. Bacteria growth is inhibited without oxygen and without water or in extreme temperatures like boiling or freezing. Sodium keeps bacteria from growing by drawing water out of the food and creating a pH environment that is not ideal for bacteria growth. A regular diet of highly processed and preserved meals results in a high intake of sodium. Aim to eat between 1,500 and 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day. By avoiding sodium-filled processed foods, you will also avoid foods high in bad fats, containing simple carbohydrates, and very little fiber content. Take caution with foods high in sodium. Sodium increases blood pressure by holding on to excess fluid and puts an extra burden on your heart and blood vessels. Most Americans consume about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day, which is more than twice the 1,500 milligram recommended amount. About 12% of the sodium we eat naturally occurs in food. 75% comes from sodium added to foods during processing, and 13% is usually added during the meal preparation or at the table. According to the American Heart Association, eating less sodium will reduce your risk of stroke, heart failure, osteoporosis, stomach cancer, and kidney disease. One way to help decrease the amount of sodium in your diet is to become familiar with the sodium-related terms you see on the front of food packages. Look over the attached PDF and familiarize yourself with terms light, reduced, low, very low, and sodium-free to see how these terms reflect the overall milligrams of sodium per serving. Before we go, here's your HealthKick question of the day. What exactly on a food label makes a fresh pear a better snack than a canned pear? We will have your HealthKick answer tomorrow, but until then, keep moving, drinking water, and aim to eat 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day. So let's review. All salt has sodium, but not all sodium is salt. Salt gives flavor to your food. Sodium keeps bacteria from growing on your food. Aim to consume 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day. When you decrease sodium by limiting processed foods, you avoid empty calories.